or welcome back to my channel. I am Brooklyn Book Belle, aka Felicia. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I literally woke up at 7 o'clock this morning and was like, you didn't do a wrap up for May or June. Like you didn't you didn't do that. But I was like, we can do it today. So I am up bright and early, sans no makeup, honey, and literally my first cup of coffee of the day. Take up space, everyone. I said, why not just do it today? Like, let's just do the thing, which I'm really excited about because in May and June, I read 17 books in May, 19 books in June. So I was really, really doing my little thug thizzle over there, if you get what I'm putting down. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, let's get into my stats first, and then we will fly through these books because y'all know I like to keep y'all here for a short time, not a long time. And I'm so sorry that last video I did was very long. We're going to try not to do that today. So I'm not going to be long-winded today. I'm going to try to keep it brief, if you feel what I'm putting down. Okay. So in May, I read over 4,598 pages. It took me on average 4 days to finish a book. The page numbers, I had one book that was over 500 pages, 6 books that were between 300 and 499, and then 10 books that were less than 300. For the month of June, I read 19 books with 5,038 pages. It took me 3 days to finish a book on average, and there were 5 books that were between 300 and 499 pages, and then 14 books that were less than 300 pages. So I had a lot of shorties in the month of June, which is cool. Super, super cool. For May and for June, all books were fiction. It's just a fiction year. Listen, we're reading what we want. You know what I'm saying? We're doing it. Whew. And then let's see what my genres were. I mean, normally I'm very high with romance, and so yeah. And then so May, 12 romance books, June 17, and then fantasy, erotica, and contemporary all intertwine between the months, and go back and forth for the top 3 after romance. Yeah. Oh shoot, format. So I read 3 print books in the month of May, and I read 3 print books in the month of June, and digital was in the high 80s or the low 80s, so 82 and 84. But which is ridiculous because I have so many physical books. I feel like I get on here and I say this every month, like, please someone take my debit card from me buying all these books. Oh my god. I think, you know what it is? I think it's just so easy to like read digital books. Like when I'm in a digital book space, it takes me like I said, like 3 days to finish, a thicker book. Yeah, I don't know what it's gonna take for me to like read the books that I purchased. Like, this is ridiculous. Okay, let's get into the month of May and the things that I read. So those 17 books, I read some really dope books in the month of May. I was very excited about that. Let's kind of run through them if we could, you know what I'm saying? Okay, the first book that I read was The Good Ones Are Taken by Taj McCoy. I'm pretty sure that Taj McCoy is going to be at Steamy LitCon, which I will be at this weekend, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah, so excited. But The Good Ones Are Taken is a love triangle. The young lady is trying to find her partner, and so her best friend is like supporting her as she's online looking for men, and her girlfriends are like, why don't you just date your bestie? And she's like, he don't want me, and he's like, I definitely want you. But she's already met this really dope doctor on the socials, and so it turns into like this whole love triangle. Super fun, super cute. I want to say this is one of the, have I read Taj McCoy before? I don't remember. I need to look at that. But I really liked her writing in this, and it was actually like a really fun read. And I normally do not like love triangles, so do with that what you must. All right, the next book that I read was Cloudy with a Chance of Romance, a Preto Village novel by Ashley Nicole. And y'all know Ashley Nicole is an automatic purchase author for me. She was on my list that I did last year, and this book picks up in Preto Village, and we follow this young lady who has been tasked with being like the executor on her grandfather's estate, but he's still alive. And so she didn't know that she was like signing up to take him to his appointments with a certain lady, okay? And her 92-year-old grandfather literally steals the show in this book. But in the book, she meets this guy who's like a traveling either physician's assistant. No, he's like a physical therapist. Those are two very different jobs, but okay, coffee. But she meets this guy who's there for a short time. She's looking for a short-term romance, not a long-term romance. Drama ensues, and the grandfather is like pushing her towards this man, and I kind of like that. It was really good. It was really, really good. But I'm telling you, the grandfather steals the show. He's written hilariously. Love him. Okay, the next book that I read was Chemistry, The Chemist, The Grey List, book number 1 by Gray Huffington. And I just want y'all to know, I really don't remember a lot of this book. He is a chemist. He's like the head of his family. He falls in love with this lady. She may or may not be an FBI agent. He may or may not have like a criminal enterprise, but all his siblings are really super smart. And so they each have like, like a part that they play in keeping the secrecy of their family's business, but also pushing forward their criminal dealings. Oh, maybe I do remember this book. Yeah, but he is like in pharmaceuticals, but also a drug dealer. I mean, they're the same thing. They're the same thing. And so, yeah, and so Gray Huffington is always going to give you, you know, very emotionally connected characters, but also a little bit of drama. I don't know. I feel like I kind of like overdosed on her last year, and so for some reason her books aren't landing with me the same that they used to. And so I'm kind of, after reading Chemistry and feeling the way I did, I said I'm gonna take a break from reading her books as soon as they come out and maybe like let them marinate and then go back to them, because I know the next book in this series came out last week. I have not read it. I was like, maybe we'll see. We'll see. All right, the next book that I read was My Heart at Ease by Laquana Brumfield, and I'm pretty sure that this is a friends to lovers romance. Yeah, and I think the young lady is a musician. Yep, she's a country music singer, and she gets kind of done wrong by her manager and her label, and she like comes home, and he's like at home after like a 5-year deployment or something or the other, and like they had always been friends, but they had spent a lot of time apart from each other. This was my first book by Laquana, and I read it a part of the Cowboy Carter readathon because I needed a book with a cowboy on it, and I really actually liked it. It was very good. And y'all know a friends to lovers will always be my fave. Love it. Okay, the next book that I read was The 710 Split by Peach in the Peach Blossom series is book number 1, and it was written by Carmen Lee. And this book follows 2 former high school besties turned enemies because one of the main characters leaves the high school that they both went to and goes to a rival school, and then they have to like bowl against each other. Well, now they're both back at their alma mater. One is a science teacher, one is an English teacher, and it's some lady loving happening, okay? The real reason why they didn't like each other is because they loved each other. But it's really super cute. The kids play like a huge role in like, you know, them getting along. And so it's definitely enemies to lovers. And it's really cute. And it's about bowling. And I feel like Black people don't bowl enough. Or we don't talk about bowling enough. Every Black person I know can bowl, okay? We be outside. All right, the next book that I read was Love in the Studio by Tay Monet. She's a thickie, honey. She's almost 500 pages, but I read it. And this follows Kaylee and Legend. And Kaylee is pregnant by a man who does not want her. And Legend is a music producer, and they figure out that they are more alike than different, and her ex-man is really mad that she's now hooking up with the producer. But Legend is like 10 toes down for her and that baby, okay? And it's not a secret baby. He knew the baby was there. But he really loved her, and I really fucked with that. It was really good. I liked it. Okay, Kaylin and Aura, This Ain't Love, book number 16 by Renee Wolf. It was a short book, but it was definitely like a revenge sex book, because the guy basically invites this girl down to like a sex club, and like he knows that her brother also goes to this sex club, and he just wants access to her, and he wants the brother to see that he has access to her. But it's like a one night thing. He's literally just doing it to get back at the brother and the father. And she does not bangs with her father and her brother anyway. So she was like, I'll have one night with you. The way I just explained that was probably kind of weird. It's not as weird as it sounds. I'm sorry if that was uncomfortable. We're gonna move on. All right, the next book that I read was Roommate Lover Friend, a New Hope novel by Sean, and this is literally one of my favorite romances that I've read this year. So homegirl gets put out by her ex-boyfriend, puts out of her apartment, and as she's moving out, this guy is like, well, I need a roommate. But he's really doing it because he's actually very attracted to her, but not like in a creep-like way. And so she like moves in with him, and they actually like end up falling in love, but it's really not in a creepy way. Like, he really gives her like a lot of space and a whatever, and none of their like romance happens like him creeping up in her room or some stupid stuff like that. But it's also very sexy. Sean really did that. Like, every person that I've told to read this book has literally loved it. It's actually really, really good. So Roommate Lover Friend, New Hope novel by Sean. Okay, the next book that I read was Waiting for Friday Night by Cynthia Williams, and we like Cynthia Williams on this page, okay? This is the second book in the Peachtree Cove series, and I'm patiently waiting for book 3 because both books have been really, really good. Like, I love a small town romance, and this one definitely matches up. So the young lady actually got pregnant by artificial insemination and now has a teenage daughter, and so for something like ticks the daughter off, and she plays football, and she like starts asking questions of her football coach. Y'all, yes, yeah, I don't want to tell it. Oh my god. Okay, so artificial insemination, the daughter's now a teenager, the football coach, she's like ticked off, or something like sparks her interest about the football coach, and she asked him for a DNA test, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Y'all, it's really good. It's so good. I loved it. Oh my god, it was really good. Okay, the next book that I read was River Mama by Zalikia Reed Benta, and I just want to say that this was one of my books that I was most looking forward to from 2024 new releases. And this is a fantasy novel, and the description says like Issa Rae's Insecure mixed with like a magical realism spin, and it definitely was. So we follow our main character, a young black woman who is literally going through a quarter life crisis. She's very young. She just graduated college, but her job thing isn't really lining up. And one night on the way from a party in Canada, she's walking past a body of water, and literally River Mama, the Jamaican water spirit, is like, hey girl, I need my comb back. Yes, I said comb. She wants her comb back. And so she sends this young lady on this magical fantasy through Canada, and she only gave her like 24 hours to get her comb back, y'all. It was a wild ride, but it was so fun. And I love learning about folklore from other parts of the diaspora. So it was very action-packed, very magical, and it was a really fun read. And it also, like I said, it felt like Insecure. It felt like these 3 friends who were supposed to be at somebody's party, you know, having a cocktail or, you know, sipping out of a red cup, but they're running around Toronto looking for a magical comb. Like, it was a lot of fun, actually, and I really super enjoyed it. Okay, the next book, Mama Close Your Ears, was Camp Pounce, A Rare and Unknown World, and that is by Shy August. I was put onto this book by after sitting on a panel with Big Butt and a book over on Instagram talking about why choose novels. And this is a why choose novel that follows cat shifters who have not met their partners or their claw yet. And so they go to kind of like a summer camp for shifters and get sniffed. Like, you have to sniff the cat. say that. I'm keeping it in. But you have to sniff the other cats to figure out who's in your claw. And it is a wild ride from page 1. And it's only 90 pages. It's a wild ride from page 1. Y'all go pick up Camp Pounce and then come put in the comment. Come put in the comments that you read it. Okay, I gotta go. Bye. All right, the next book that I read was For Pucking Keep, a hockey romance, and it's the Saddle Viper series #1 by D Sparks. I'm a huge fan of D Sparks over at this page. She also writes under another name, Drea Wells, and so y'all know I go up for my girl. But this is a contemporary romance, and it's a hockey romance. Oh my god. Okay, and so the girl, she is a writer, and she sounds like me. She don't know nothing about hockey, but here she is learning about hockey because her friend's like brother is like a really popular hockey player, and he's like, I'll teach you everything you know about hockey. Well, he really started teaching her about something else. He showed you, girl. And it is a really super well-written contemporary romance. Like, it has all the hills and the valleys. Like, it gives you all of the emotional roller coaster that we want on the backdrop of hockey, because you know the girls really go up for hockey romances, and I don't read white romance, so I haven't read like For Pucking Keeps and like all of that, but this one I feel like can literally stand and hold its own in the pantheon of hockey romances, and it just happens to have 2 Black lead characters. Love, live, done. All right, y'all. The next 2 books that I read were 2 books out of the Arranged Heart series. The first one was Passion by Monica Walters, and the second one was Desire by Kay Shanae. And I really liked these 2 books. And the only reason why I only read 2 out of the series was because I trust these 2 authors. And so, yeah, so the premise of the books is that these women and these men are both choosing to be arranged in marriages by a matchmaker. And yeah, and so the one that Monica Walters wrote, I feel like he was like a ladies' man and she was like a dental hygienist, and they both had kind of come to the part where they were like, this is kind of what we want. Yeah, and it's like if the pairing comes together and they end up loving each other, they stay with each other. I think the one that really stood out, and that was Monica's book. And then Desire, Kay Shanae's book, the lady is his daughter's preschool teacher, and they end up paired together, and the little girl like knows her, and so it kind of like builds this cute little family. And in both of the books, their families are like, what are y'all doing? Like, because you have to get arranged and then literally you meet at the altar. Yeah, and you have to get married, and so because that's the contract that you sign. So it's an interesting premise, and I love when the author bays link up and do like series, but I just gotten to the point I'm not reading every book in the series. I'm gonna do the ones who the authors that I trust. So Monica and Kay Shanae's book were both very well written, as they always are, and entertaining, so I love both of those. The next book that I read was A Month of Sundays by Jade Olivia, and this was a debut author who also happens to be a lovely friend of mine, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I also had some learning experiences with this book. So this book is a cozy, slow burn that follows DeAndre and what's her name? Oh my god. Imani. It follows DeAndre and Imani. And Imani is an artist, and she is engaged to a pastor, and DeAndre is this rough and rugged tennis player. Like, he is such an interesting character. Like, he has such like soft and hard lines built into who he is as a man, which is really kind of interesting, right? He plays tennis, so he has to kind of learn how to navigate the tennis world, which I feel like we watch Black people navigate tennis for some time now, and they show up as themselves, but tennis be like, please don't show up as yourself. And then, you know, he meets Imani at a wedding, and he is immediately in love with her, like love at first sight. And she's like, I'm engaged. I'm an engaged woman. Okay, like type shit. And he pines for her for 3 years. And so that to me is what makes it like a slow burn. And I just think the coziness of it comes in because Jade does a really amazing job of painting every picture. So every room that you're in this book, you feel like you know every detail down to the threading of the carpet type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? And I appreciate an author whose imagination is that vivid, but also can, you know, go down to the smallest of details. And I think that is where Jay really shines. I will say that I am not a slow burn girly. And so I had to put the book down for a little bit because I did not want to throw myself into a reading slump, because I was yearning for the romance from these two characters, and it doesn't come until later in the book, right? And so I think sometimes in Black romance, or in romance in general, right, we're trying to get to the hunching, and this book makes you work for it, if you know what I'm saying. Also, and that kind of parallels their love and how beautiful it is. Gotta work for the hunching, you know? And so these two after the 4 years of him pining for her, 3-4 years, however long, they like get into this whirlwind romance. It's like once the shackles of that engagement are off, honey, the wheels is off. In the last 200 pages of this book, you are thrown into like a whippersnapper of a story, which also I'm like, oh my god. So it was a fun ride. I will say I've never called a cozy slow burn a fun ride, but that's because of the way the author paced the book, which was really super interesting. And so I really enjoyed it. She is a thickie, okay? She is a 500 pager. No, she's 600. Yeah, she's 600 pages. But if you like a cozy slow burn, the girls are really loving it, and I loved it as well, and I think you should pick it up. And that's that. Shout out to Jay, Olivia. Heart boo. Okay, the next book that I read was Karma, A New Hope short, also by Sean. Sean has been writing some sexy shit. And she is a stripper, and she goes to a exotic weekend to basically hit a lick or get a financial come up to be able to buy the house that her and her little sister live in. But what happens when the trick becomes the love of your life? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they covered that in all the stripper content I've read. But this book was super sexy and super fun. And I love the idea of her being like, I'm trying to hit this lick. And him going like, all right, I got the money. Let's do it. Type thing. That would, listen, I would have folded. If it was me. But here we are. All right. So let's get into the books that I read in June. The first book that I read was The Problem with Players by Brittany C. Cherry. And let me just tell y'all, it was also an enemies to lover, kind of like the 7-10 split. Again, they were cool in high school. Something tore them apart. He goes to the major leagues to play baseball. She becomes a baseball coach. And like, he comes back to their high school and he is given the head coaching job over her, which she thought she was a shoo-in for because she had been an assistant coach for so long. And it's them working with these young people and the part that the young people play, which is really super cute. Y'all see I'm just cheesing because it was so good. It was such a fun read. And it really, like, me and my friends who have read it were like, this is like a 90s kind of love kind of thing. So cute, so good. Oh my gosh, love. First book by Brittany C. Cherry, and I will be reading more of hers in the future. The next book that I read was The Offer by the T.M. Richardson. Okay, don't play with it. Okay. This is a Why Choose romance, and it follows 3 people on kind of this journey of just not self-discovery, but y'all don't want to give too much of the book away. The book comes out today actually on Kindle Unlimited, and the hardcover book I think comes out tomorrow the 30th, so make sure you get your hands on it. I've told y'all in all of my videos, make sure that you have already read The Oath, which is the first book in this series, to now come and read The Offer. So these 2 gentlemen are in a relationship with each other. One has a very high profile relationship, a high profile job. He's running for a Senate seat, and his partner is a former NBA basketball player. And so both of these jobs, these 2 men are expected to be very straight. Everyone just thinks that they're best friends. I mean, people have questions, but not too much on them. And they go to a sex club one night, and they see this young lady participating, and they make the decision that she is their third person, right? Y'all, 2, you can get 2 Prince Charmings. I don't just have to have 1, I can have 2. Kristoff and Kadeem literally woo her. Like, they woo Elisa in a way that I've never seen men woo a woman. Like, they take such good care of her. Like, she is given such princess treatment. But what happens when the outside world, right, attacks this union that you've built and these two high profile, you know, roles that these two men have. It causes quite the tension. It causes quite the tension. But let me tell you, what TM does, which I am so enthralled by and like excited by, is like, she is not just giving you the erotic part, she's also giving you a really beautifully written human experience. These three people have highs and lows, each of them. These people all have things to overcome, but they're also looking for pure love, and they find it with the three of them. It's just such a well-written book. Tim, you did that. And you know I'm gonna go up for you every time, girl. Every time. Y'all, please go read The Offer by T.M. Richardson. It comes out tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow. Okay, the next book that I read was I Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend by Jessica Cage. This is not the first book that I read by Jessica Cage. I actually read The Djinn a while ago and have wanted to get more into her paranormal fantasy, romantasy type books. And y'all, I Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend was so good. So the main character, she gets drunk and she does like this spell that she like found in like a romance book or something that she thought was fake, and she actually summons a demon to her house. And like, he is like an important demon who used to kill a lot of people and do a lot of work in his realm. So he's not necessarily from hell, he's just from a different dimension or a different world. And they want him to come back to this job really, really bad. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And so his job now becomes to like protect her, and like he secrets her away to the other dimension. Y'all, it is so fun. And because I don't want my video taken down, I'm not gonna tell y'all the nasty, nasty things that happen in this book. Because I had never read a monster romance. I just haven't. And so this one was very, very much an introduction to the genre. Thank you, Jessica. And it was a fun book to read. It was wildly fun and adventurous. It was great. Okay, the next book that I read was Finding My Bodyguard by A. Blossom. And I just want to say that Dr. Royale London, who is at the top of my top book boyfriends for the first half of the year, he secrets her away because her punk ass man was out here trying to make her get her body done, like on some shit. And he's like, you don't have to do this, because he's a plastic surgeon. He's like, you don't have to do this, and actually I'm not going to sign off on you getting this done because you don't even want it done, type stuff. And so he secrets her away to his home in Cuba because his family is also part of a cartel. Yo, A. Blossom, you did that, girl. You did that. You really did that. And so Claim My Heart and Protect Me Like a Bodyguard, like she literally gets like a doctor who's also a street criminal who has a home in Cuba to secret her away and save her from her whack ass fiance. Very good. Such a fun read, sexy read, loved it. Okay, A Little Kissing Between Friends by Chinsia C. Higgins. We're going with Chinsia. Okay, and it is a lesbian romance, and it follows Papa and Papa and Juicy. Yo, Papa is a music producer. Juicy is exotic dancer, if you may, and they are best friends. But y'all, they fall in love. Oh, it was so fun watching them fall in love and watching them explore like their relationship on a deeper level. And I will say that A Little Kissing Between Friends brought me back to lesbian romance, because some of the other ones, not the 17 split, but some of the other ones I read this year, I was like, what in the slow burn is happening? Y'all know I don't like a slow burn. This is not my favorite. I want to get to the hunching. Okay. Sorry, Mom. The next book that I read was Dragon Fruit by Makia Lucier, and this is the surprise standout for me for the last few months. So Dragon Fruit is a Pacific Island themed book where in this world, dragon fruit are dragon eggs, and if you eat one, it could reverse a terrible situation in your life. And so they hunt the dragons and the dragon eggs to get their dragon fruit to change the course of things that happen. The queen in this world is in like a slumber, and this girl's father stole a dragon egg to save the daughter, who was, I think, one of her tasters or something. And so she has been like studying dragons this whole time, and she has become like a lead person on like how dragons move, why they do the things that they do. And so she's very valuable to dragoneers, or people who are hunting dragons. And she has to go back to like her homeland because she's been on the run this whole time. And she partners with a friend of hers from childhood. And like, it is, it's such an expansive adventure, like on the sea, on land. There are these dragons, our hearts get pulled. They have these really cool familiars that are like tribal tattoos. That is really cool. It was just really refreshing to read a fantasy novel that I felt like I had never visited this world before. And so it was a surprising read for me this year. And I got that book from Book of the Month. And normally I hate my Book of the Month books. Hate them. Moving on. The next book that I read was Secure in the Arms of a Thug by Tatum James, and it follows Sire Rain and Royale Jacobs. And Sire has always been like the fuck up, and Royale has just gotten out of prison for taking a charge for her ex. Now when she gets out, she finds out that her ex and her cousin are now hooking up, and so she takes this gig to go to this wedding of this criminal family and ends up meeting Sire, and they fly to Vegas for the night and get married. But then Sire finds out that his family like has a hit out on them, and he has to like protect his wife but also protect the family, juggling priorities kind of, if you must, you know what I mean? And I loved it. I love a good urban romance. Go read it. Tatum is a must read. Okay, the next two books that I read are the Jackson Brothers Book 1 and Book 2, The Replacements, A Grumpy Boss Romance, and Star-Crossed. Both of them are amazing. Both books. In The Replacements, A Grumpy Boss Romance, the main character finds out that her husband is cheating on her, and before she even knows any of the details, she leaves their house, gets a new apartment, goes to find a job, but she knows she wants to work in corporate America because she's like, I can find a new husband. Well, her boss is like, you are beautiful, oh my God. But he's also very grumpy and very nasty, and so it takes him a little time. But once he's warmed up to her, ex-husband who? Okay, because he's like, is this the car that he bought you? You don't need it. Get all your stuff out of it. We're leaving. Like, it's like that. It's like that. It was so good. And then Star-Crossed is an enemies to lovers because they are competing for like a software engineering tech job. And so they force them to work together on this project. But because, of course, it's like forced proximity, we're forced to work together, they end up falling in love. And it's really good. It's good. All right, the next book that I read was Rhythms Blues by Kimberly Brown. And listen, all these books about being the girlfriend of a rapper sound very stressful. All these girls sound stressed. I would not want to be no rapper's girlfriend. Oh my God. What if I just like bump into a rapper? Okay, anyways, Rhythm Baker is a successful occupational therapist, and she has been with this guy Raheem, who's a rapper, and he's just treating her terrible. And Channing Watson is a producer, but he's bringing his grandmother to occupational therapy, and like, he sees her, he doesn't know who she is, and they end up like creating their own little connection. But when she has to leave that no good boyfriend, he finds out she's with the producer, honey. Drama ensues. It's messy. It's an entanglement. But, we love a hard fought happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that. Okay, the next book that I read was Take Me Away by Cami Holt. And I really love this one. Oh my God, what is with the rappers this month? That's right, Iceland and Dash. Dash was like, he's a rapper. He's a rapper. Iceland is engaged to be married, but she don't really want to be with this man. They work their way back to each other, honey. All the girls is getting rappers. Is that what we're doing? Cami, this was a fun read though. I really enjoyed this one. It was really good. And when I say fun read, I want y'all to know I read for entertainment. And so if I'm not entertained and I'm not like, oh, this was a good time, like while I'm reading it, then I won't say it's fun. all of the books that I've read in the last 2 months have been good, fun reads, and that's why I say it the way that I do. Okay, the next book that I read was Free to Love by Kennedy Ryan, and it was her Juneteenth short. And they were planning a wedding, and the mother was like really overbearing and annoying. It's only 50 pages, and so they run off and get eloped. And Kennedy's always going to have an emotionally sound, beautifully written story. This one did not deviate from her regular formula, and it was a great read. The next 3 books that I read were The Beauty of This Street Love, book 1, 2, and 3 by L. Kaysen. Now, I will say these books have a lot of points of view, and everyone's name started with a T. Okay, and so I couldn't tell you what the storylines were. I can't, till right now, I can't really tell you, because kid you not, it was like 12 points of view, and my ADHD, the way that it's set up, I struggle with multiple POVs, and I've decided that after reading these 3 books, because I struggled through it, I read them, they were fun, they were entertaining, but did I read to comprehend? No, I didn't, because it was too many points of view for me. It was too many. Okay, but all 3 books, again, if you like multiple points of view and you want a criminal enterprise family and all of the siblings are like finding their romantic partners, The Beauty of This Street Love, books 1, 2, and 3. They take place in Texas. I love a little southern hood shit. These are good. These are great. The next book that I read was Lord of the Wilds duology, book 1 by Anna Lee. I'm not gonna butcher her name, but you've seen this book. It's been all over. Wild. Oh my gosh. Huh. Lore, I called her Wild. Her name is Lore. Lore is taken out of her village to go to work in this magical fae library, because these faes cannot enter this library because only a human can enter it. And there is a book of magic and spells that she comes across, and she thinks that if she can harness magic in a way that she would be able to save her family, but everyone is not who you think they are, and everyone are fays with antlers and ears and all the things. I really liked this book. It was very cottagecore-esque, which is not something I normally read, but I really loved the entire cast of characters was interesting. The twist at the end was super interesting. Like, I read it and I liked it. I think this book has received a lot of mixed reviews, and I could see why, actually. You know, I'm a very sensible person. I could see why, but I actually enjoyed it, and I wouldn't deter someone from reading it because it was good to me. I did a reread of Shadows and Whispers by Casey Mills, where Elias pulls that man off that stage by his ankles. Y'all, I met Casey Mills at Indie Love, and that's the first thing I said to her. I was like, yo, I need a copy of Shadows and Whispers, because the way that man pulled that dance director off that stage was nothing short of amazing. Okay, Elias is he's the black sheep of the family. His brother calls him up, says he has to marry this woman. She turns out to be a ballet dancer. Well, he's supposed to marry her sister, and she puts herself in the line of fire, and he's like, well, I don't want to marry your sister, I want to marry you. And she's like, I don't want to do this is unethical, but they end up really falling madly in love with each other. The way Elias protects Cress is crazy. It's crazy. Literally one of my favorite urban romances I've read forever. Like, ever. Okay, the next book that I read was Sleepless in Alton by Jemiah Taylor. And this short story is about a young lady who flies to like a winter village type town because she has to have like a meeting with someone for her job, whatever. They end up canceling on her, so she ends up going to like this bed and breakfast, going to get coffee. This man spills coffee on her, and like a whisk away type romance happens while she's in this sleepy oh my god, what is it called, when you go down the hill, you know, when you go down the hill, skiing town. Like, she's in this like snow covered mountain sleepy skiing town, and she has this like whirlwind romance, and it was my first book by Jamia Taylor, but I liked it. I also did a reread of Medusas Remedy, The Goddess Scrolls by Aisha Bree, and y'all know this is our Aisha Bree stand account. We don't play that around here. And basically, Medusa is given an opportunity to escape. Perseus does not kill her. She's given this opportunity to escape. And Poseidon and Athena still have it out for her. But she ends up coming across a gentleman who has connections with Poseidon, and we don't know what those connections are. But they end up in a huge fight with Poseidon and Athena because Medusa has gotten away. And yeah, I love a good retelling. And when I spoke to Aisha at Indie Love, she was like, another book is coming. And I'm like, yes, because this is how I was introduced to Aisha as a romance author, was through her fantasy books. So Medusas Remedy and Noemi, the Hidden Goddess. So that concludes, y'all, all of the books that I read. Yes, that was abrupt. I'm sorry. I kept y'all here a really long time. Again, I'm so sorry. But we did a thing, and this was delightful. These are all the books that I read in the months of May and June. Hopefully I won't do another 2-monther again, you guys. I think my standouts and the ones that I would say please go back and read would of course be Medusas Remedy, Dragon Fruit, Finding My Bodyguard, and The Offer. Ooh, and definitely A Month of Sundays. Those would be the 5 that I would say out of all of the books that I read for the last 2 months. Those are the ones that I would say are must reads and you need to go pick them up. I'm gonna put those 5 down below because I'm not typing out all of these books, y'all. I'm so sorry. But I do have a video on my TikTok with each of the books slowly. So if you didn't catch the title, or if you put me a little blurb down in the comments and you're like, what was that book? What did you say? I'll give you the name of the book. And if I have time today, I'll just make like an Amazon list and it'll be in my links below. But if you have made it to this part of the book, please do not drop a stack of books. Y'all know I love when you guys write me in the comments. Have you read any of these books? Are you gonna read any of these books, y'all? I read so many books, oh my god. So I have to talk about it with y'all. Please go check out all of these authors. All of these books were amazing. I actually did not have one DNF in the months of May or June. And so these were all great. And as always, thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends about me. It's fun over here. We're reading black ass motherfucking books and having a good time. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks so much, you guys, again. And until next time.